Hello and welcome to Songs.
Wow. That sounds like something you might hear in a Final Fantasy soundtrack.
It does. Well, yeah.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Maybe not the ones you guys have heard recently. The ones that I've heard on a PlayStation.
The classics. Welcome back to the Hat Chat podcast. We're here at episode 74. If you didn't know, that's how far we've gotten.
74.
There's 3 of us here today, and always will be, hopefully. Unless one of us dies unexpectedly.
Jesus Christ.
Death angle went, that was too quick.
God.
Straight to death.
Sorry. And then these 3 boxes, if you're watching the video, will just become 2 slightly wider boxes, just taking up more space.
Imagine doing that request. It's like, so because one of us died, we're going to have to just widen the boxes out.
Just more box for you to look at, really. You won't get any more.
Just a still image and crosses over the eyes.
Or just a constant memorial on screen. Just like a tombstone.
You know it'll be me as well. It's going to be me.
Can you give us a couple of plates? Is that how you want to be seen? What about if you died hilariously? What would that look like?
What? You think the image should reference the way he died?
Well, imagine if
freezing river and
Trott looking really cold. Can you give us a plate when you look really cold? We shouldn't joke. Paddleboarders died in Wales recently.
Oh yeah, they do.
Be careful.
People die all the fucking
winter,
time.
They do exactly, Trott. They do.
Some of the funny news stories are about people dying.
Oh Jesus! It's not. It's yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Not that they're always funny. Of course, but
they're news stories.
We'll get on to some news stories later on. There was one which literally is just a headline, really, because I read into it and it's not even a paragraph, but it's quite funny. We'll go on to that.
We can embellish it as we usually do.
The first one sounds hilarious, actually.
Talking of embellishment, I have set the task once again to our patrons to pick of one of 3 incredible, thought-provoking questions, and I've placed the winners in our document that Alex Smith will now read out, and we will then discuss.
Okay, I haven't looked at these yet, so these are a surprise to me as well.
Wow.
First question is, which is a scarier thought? Oh, this is a good one. What, is this a sleepover? Which is a scarier thought, that the human race is the most advanced form of life in the universe, or that we were mere amoeba compared to other life forms? The latter.
The latter, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree, because ultimately it's really hard to comprehend that in the first place, because we are just a kind of a growing thing on this planet that reproduces at a very
to counter the double down immediately on the latter.
Sure.
Being the only living existent thing of sentient life is also quite a scary thought. Knowing that we are completely alone and that there's nothing else out there.
I think it's sad. I don't think I personally find it much scarier. I think it's almost inevitable that there is probably more advanced life than us somewhere in the universe, right? I just think that statistically speaking, as we discover more and more exoplanets, as in planets outside our solar system, around other stars, it statistically just becomes more and more likely that the right conditions for life as we know it, as in, carbon-based life, could exist. Complex life could exist. And I think it's perfectly likely, or perfectly possible, rather than likely, that there are perhaps people or species that have evolved to the point that we evolved and earlier than us, because when the Big Bang happened, and the great sort of expansion.
Are we talking post 2,000 years ago?
Yeah, after sort of when God came down and sorted out Jesus and all that stuff.
He had 7 days. He was quite a quick worker, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, Craig David once said it. Yeah.
Just Craig David, of course.
Big Bang came out mid 2000s, didn't it?
Yeah, they were all getting about 1 million. But then obviously after that, following the release of the hit comedy show, The Big Bang Theory, the universe expanded from I guess perhaps if there was a center. I'm not an astrophysicist. That the Big Bang may have had a central point and then expanded from there. The Big Bang may have happened all at once, as in whatever, miasma of gases and matter were there before the Big Bang. That could have been the equivalent of a room full of gasoline fumes, right? You know, it's sort of everything goes at once rather than necessarily
high. It smells quite nice.
Yeah. I think that was the one where Kaylee Cuckoo or whatever her name was. Cacao. Incinerated any of the writers that were funny. I think the whole room went up with all of the stuff. Yeah,
was that
and then
whole
the editors
show made in the writer's strike.
It was funny.
Nice. Anyway, but no, sorry, that's a lot of bullshit. But I think it's terrible. I think, you know, it could happen the same way that, like, in this sort of Cold War, I imagine people were terrified a nuke might drop out of the sky at any moment. You know, the idea that a spacefaring civilization could come and blast us from orbit without really, we could fire some nukes up at them or whatever, but we can't do much. I think that we should be, we're lucky if complex life exists outside of the Earth. We are lucky that we haven't been invaded, nuked, blown to pieces or whatever so far.
It's also what's the first like port of call if there is just a spaceship just
that's it
flying above? Oh, it's always over America, of course. It'll be over America to begin with. Maybe it'll just orbit at that point. What do you reckon they would get like Bezos and be like, Bezos, mate, look, you've been firing rockets left, right, and center. Let's get you up there first. Go see what you can do. And then just pop some champagne up there. Maybe just pop a couple of bottles off. Say hi, introduce us, and then if you get eviscerated, we'll know to kind of just nuke the rest of the planet and kind of just ruin it for them. So, you know, cut our nose off. Despite that's
pop some bottles, baby. Bezos is out there popping
real bottles in the form of nuclear weapons.
And but no, I mean, the film Arrival does a great job of this. I think.
Man, I watched Dune the other day. I thought I loved it. I thought it was so good. It's just a visual.
Watch Dune now.
Epic.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a real like epic.
But it is like a setup, so I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to speak in depth. But it feels like a setup in that show. Oh, I won't say. Won't spoil it. Mate.
But there is.
I say if you enjoy good visuals in films like big grand scenes.
Would you say Mad Max has like shares some similarities in terms of
the same universe?
Yeah. I don't. Maybe it could be.
I mean, in like the presentation style, you know how they're using like big grand like skies and swirling texture a lot. It feels like those things are similar.
They get scale right. I feel, in terms of you really get this grand kind of.
You sure though? Is there a banana in there?
There is no banana for scale. Shit, I didn't.
Then how do you know it's good scale?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I can't tell how tall anyone is. I was like, is this guy like the height of 4 buildings? Like, how small's the grass?
But going back to the scarier thought prospect, I think the fact that we haven't seen life already, or that we aren't aware that it exists around us, states that there are no advanced life forms in our galaxy at all.
Right.
And the Fermi paradox is
perhaps not in our galaxy. I could concede that.
If they are more advanced than us, they are unlikely to be like a Type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale. I'm looking off screen because I googled it. I've talked about this a couple of times now. But it makes sense. Like the Dyson sphere is like where you harness the sun's energy and get basically unlimited energy from that sun. That's like a Type 2 civilization, where it's like we've harnessed the power of our solar system. We're a solar system multiplanetary species, and then it's Type 3, which is like multiple stars hold this civilization, and like you can move around wherever you want. You can move your sun around to wherever you want, your solar system. So the fact that there are no more advanced civilizations beyond that either suggests that all advanced life forms don't get past the tier 1 phase of like harnessing their own planet's energy, and they die off at tier 2. So, and I know that the universe I heard is pretty fucking big. I don't know, I've never been there, but the fact that there are no Type 2 or Type 3 civilizations in contact with us, or that we're aware of, suggests to me that at least around the galaxies around us, there are no Type 3 civilizations at all. So no one's made it that far.
But I feel like
you're basing this all on human perception as well, though. Like, as in, I think that I think it's the best way to approach it is to apply these kind of rules that we understand and the systems that we've developed to understand things. I think that is our best option. I'm not saying we should just abandon all of it and just imagine what it could be, but our perception of time is based on us as a species. Our perception of consciousness is based on us as a species. There could be we are the only sentient species or complex species in the whole universe, but there could be multiple universes, multiple realities. There could be our understanding of time and space is linear, is quite linear, and we don't really possess the ability to consider it. I mean, we can barely fathom how far it would be to travel across the universe, and that's something we understand in terms of how we move through space and time. But like we go from here to over there, and it takes time. That's how we interpret movement within our reality. But there might be other ways to imagine that in itself. Other ways to move from point A to point B in time or in space. So
if you can measure
we
time,
can't probably guess is the thing.
I like that idea though, that we can't even comprehend it.
Yeah.
Whatever another species
in a higher plane of existence.
It would be and either we're not affected by it because we're so insignificant, because we are just a tiny little
scary?
Complex primate on
it is scary,
planet.
But on the scale of where we're living and life we're experiencing, it's not scary, if you know what I mean, because we're never going to be able to zoom out to the point we can see all these moving
Bezos
parts,
did.
right? Well, yeah, he certainly he got further than most.
It does seem pithy in the grand scheme of things. Of that's our grandest achievement right now, is in terms of space, is hitting the moon and back, or sending a satellite to Pluto.
Out is still impressive, isn't it? Just the fact that we've reached.
But that's it. But our solar system is fucking. In terms of the Milky Way, it's nothing. It's such a speck. And as far as we've got is sending a dick rocket to our outer orbit and a satellite to Pluto and beyond.
And on an individual life scale, you just can't, you can't get that far out to realize these things. So
this is where Keanu Reeves.
It's not scary in that sense, but I find the idea of, I guess more microscopic things quite scary, because you can't even see these. You look at your hands, there are bacteria, and so there's all sorts of stuff on there. You can't fucking see it, and I think not being able to see these things is obviously under a microscope, I'm sure, but the fact that to the naked eye there's things around us that you can't see, that is scarier. I find.
I think the microscopic level versus the macro is super interesting, and I don't think we've explored that as much as we possibly could. Obviously, there are limits to having light bounce off things and us able to detect them. But I figured if you just kind of push your eyeball in a little bit, you can actually see a lot smaller things. It helps focus. I can.
Oh God!
I'm surprised scientists haven't done it. So, but
there's actually a really good channel on YouTube which shows you really super up close microscopic imagery that's really high definition. I think it's 4K, and it just looks fucking amazing. They've managed to, obviously they've had to alter the colors and stuff so you can actually make out some of these kind of bacteria, but really interesting, and it just looks like a different world. It's really cool.
Totally. I think Ant-Man and shit like that explore that a little bit, don't they? But the microscopic world and the way that cells work as well. Have you ever looked at the mechanisms within cells and how
it's nuts?
Yeah, they're little micro circuits and machines and things within cells, which are just incredible.
Animation. Did you see that TEDx animation? Not TEDx. It's probably a proper TED actually. Topic about Big TED. Animating, Big TED. They animated the systems in your body, just all the different things the amino acids and stuff like that, and how they're transporting. They're literally little molecule structures with little legs carrying a little tendril that's pulling a protein all the way along, and it's just insane. Obviously I spoke a lot of bullshit science just then, but you can kind of get the gist.
But just knowing about that existing, when you say there's likely to be something else out there, I feel there must be something, maybe not necessarily as intelligent as us, or maybe more intelligent, but there's got to be something else out there.
I think maybe that's all tiny life. and we're so oblivious because we're so big, and it's like it's all happening within like the quantum level. We can't even detect it.
So in summary, let's go individual answers. So yeah, which do you find scarier? That we're the most advanced form of life in the universe, or that we were mere amoeba compared to other forms? Mine is that we're amoeba. What is yours, Trott?
After this discussion, I feel like if there is already advanced life out there, it's not scaring us right now. It's not interacting with us. So I think the former.
Okay, so the with
alone.
I'm on the same boat there, but I think it's quite exciting to think that there's advanced form of life out there.
It is.
Even though it could be threatening, it's exciting to know that there's something else.
I want a Mass Effect scenario where we're like,
find out about that. That would be fucking
galactic
great, so.
civilization. And then he was like, come on board, Earthlings. We've got like awesome armor and stuff and light speed travel. Come to our amazing like mega city that's an entire city that is harnessed by the power of a galaxy. Do you want a spaceship?
Yes, please.
Do you want to live like 500 more years? Which leads me on to my next question. Hypothetical. Would you wish to live 1,000 years in your 25-year-old body if you had the choice? Now, there's no downside necessarily other than the caveat of living 1,000 years.
And seeing everyone you love die.
Yeah, that's one of the
my 25-year-old body. It's not much different from this, I guess.
No, it's probably your peak, to be honest with you.
Of like health, probably.
Yeah, 25 to 30s. You consider sort of your prime. 25 to 35, I think it is.
Is it called In Time? The one with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
Where literally they are all 25. Well, they hit 25, and that's when they stop aging, and then they have to like measure each other's. Is it based on like a currency in their wrist or whatever it is?
Yeah, they got like some stupid ass digital.
That's the time they have left, and some guy had like 1 billion years or whatever, and like people trying to rob him and that stuff. Would you wish to live 1,000 years? I think so. I think I'm out in the sense of curiosity. I would say yeah. I want to see. I'd like to see what goes on, but I don't feel like the planet's got much hope if there isn't a cycling of things. You know, if population keeps growing, that's going to be a lot of 25-year-olds.
Only a select amount of humans get chosen for this, and you have to do the full 1,000. There's no going back on it. You have to do 1,000 years.
God, that is a long time. But at the same time, you're not withering, you're not aging, which is what part of the frustrations of growing old anyway, right?
And also like the journey and the wisdom as well. You know, I don't think it would be bad. I think you would eventually create people who are incredibly, well, hopefully it depends on how they live their life, but I presume a person who is living to 1,000 years would very much consider their life, to be like, holy shit, I am special. I need to like do something that makes this worthwhile.
But if it is a select system, like Trott said, you would probably have an elite society which would want to live, because you wouldn't want to have a relationship with somebody who's going to die in like.
We've all seen vampire shows.
You're like, well, I'm around 1,000, so fuck that.
Definitely.
Your idea of like a human.
Community.
I prefer the idea that it's just you. I think you're right about the whole like you'd end up seeking out people who lived as long as you, but I think if we pose this as it's just you that lives that long, I think you would have problems forming like loving relationships, because as you live longer and longer, your perception of time moves faster and faster because your reference is so much longer.
It could be weird.
So what do you mean?
I just had a weird thought.
What's that?
Instead of focusing entirely on the single person, you follow their bloodline.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
In terms of relationship. So it's like you see.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah. So you like marry their daughter and then marry that person's. I mean, that's like,
and then you
that's like Casper's wives
because you're creepy and weird. You're like trying to recreate that first person you got with every time. So you're like nurturing that personality because you've got the time to do it.
In that period of time.
I mean, sure, this is very much like the one of the plot lines in Foundation, the sci-fi show that Ross and I have been watching. New episode came out and it was really good. I don't know if you managed to watch it. Yeah, I watched it this morning.
Today,
yeah.
Morning show to me.
I love it. I get really excited. I wake up in the morning and watch it. Yeah, I like it. And
people are crying incest on my idea. obviously it wouldn't be me creating the children. That
Yeah, the
I
people,
would
the
select
people
a
annoyed
host.
will die off, Trott, so don't worry about it. Do what you want. You do you. Thousand.
Yeah, that's
Also,
true.
The other thing is,
Can't touch me. I'm 1,000 years old.
I don't think anyone could convince you that you're definitely going to live 1,000 years. Do you know what I mean? And, like,
That's a good
there could be a
point,
machine that says you're definitely going to live 1,000 years, mate. It's like I still will not live my life as if
That's a
I'm
good
going to live
point.
1,000 years. So I wouldn't. I think I would still form regular relationships and bonds with people. I don't think I'd be like, well, sorry, mate, I can't talk to you. I want to live fucking 1,000 years.
I think this is the problem with like.
Well, you can't. If you could die, though, you probably would become quite hermity because you wouldn't want to risk dying, right? For us, it's like, well, I'm 25 now. Yeah, there's a risk I might die, but I need to live my life. With this, it's like I want to see what happens in 900 years, so I'm going to be really fucking careful. I don't want to get hit randomly by a bus. You know,
imagine
like,
living the pandemic.
You oracle kind of creature in living in a house of books, a library of.
I'd squirrel myself away in a castle, and it would be like dark all the time, and I'd probably like have cobwebs and stuff to make it like so that people don't want to come in, and I'd probably have like a really creepy butler as well, just like ward people off at the door, that sort of stuff, just to make sure no one gets to me. And I'd surround myself with bats and stuff. Yeah.
Bats. You need to be like healthy as well. You need to eat healthily, or is it just like, well, I'm going to be fine for 1,000 years, or like, can you cut
again?
Like, what can you hurt? Like, I mean, there's a lot of parameters here which
the computer says you're going to live 1,000 years. That's it.
You're going to live 1,000 years. That's it.
And then a year goes by, and then on-screen display says 999.
Okay.
They can't go any higher because it's only a 3-digit digital clock.
3 digits.
Oh, it goes from 1,000 to 999.
It ticks
after
down.
a year. That's the only like piece of knowledge that you have that you're going to live 1,000 years of this on-screen display,
right?
Like moon style.
What if one day it just went down like 100 years? You're like, wait, what the fuck?
What did I do? What did I eat? That doner kebab was how bad was that doner kebab?
Holy shit! Yeah. Something that monitored like every time you did something different. It's like it's going up and down. This is a graph of like variables in my life.
I wonder if you would start like
dodgy like a bit of fish that wasn't cooked. Oh, down. It's going down fast.
This is a problem with like imposing such a like unnatural thing to a human body, because we are not equipped to deal with living that long, right? Like our
mentally, I don't think we are.
No,
a lot to live.
You probably would go insane if you don't keep it in check, and you've got no one to like go to for these sorts of thoughts that you're having. It's like, I'm 200 years in, and I really need to talk to someone that can relate to this. You've got no one.
Yeah, I mean, think how old the goddamn Queen is. What's she in 90s now?
She's 160.
Like, or the Queen Mother, who's like 105 or whatever it was. Like that, like so much change in the last 100 years. It's just like 1,000, 10 times that kind of change in your life is just, I don't know. Yeah, it would be. It's hard to comprehend, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it'd be amazing to live through it. It'd be amazing to see these things, and it'd be amazing to kind of know where these things are going. But at the same time, that must ruin, because if you're enjoying a period of time, you're like, well, everything's changing for the worse or better or whatever. You have no control over those scenarios. It's kind of
crazy. I think if I was going to live for 1,000 years, I'd be a lot more preppy, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean like sports jacket at school preppy. Right. I mean like doomsday preppy, because like
that's very different.
Yeah, like personally, I'm like, I've got a pretty dim outlook on where the world's going. I don't know whether it's going to end, but I certainly don't think it's heading for a particularly great era right now.
COP26, they figured it all out. They've all made their pledges.
I would but I'm only going to live to be 100 years old, and frankly, whilst I still will see lots of downsides, well, it is optimistic, yeah, lots of downsides. I won't see the end of anything. I'll just see. I've already seen the end of reason, I suppose. Like it's. I guess that would be it. I'd be like, shit, I really work. Yeah, we'll need to prepare. I'm going to go start digging huge holes and putting storage containers underground and shit like that, and then you could have a quad bike that comes out of the storage container, and a dog, and you just become essentially an RPG character.
You certainly become quite wealthy.
Oh yeah, and
just
very smart. If you consider to absorb information, travel places, you become incredibly wise and worldly.
Yeah, I wonder if like because I'm starting to forget shit, right? And my memory's not very good. Like, how much can your physical brain take in terms of knowledge past like 20 years beyond 100, like 120, 130? If it's not going to deteriorate.
That's what's amazing about the human brain, though, is that there doesn't seem to be a limit.
Does your
on
brain
capacity.
just get bigger? Like your skull just slow because you got 1,000 years
obviously.
of like pressure.
Brain just... You'll become like that alien from, was it Mars Attacks, with a big brain and a glass jar on its head? Yeah.
Well, maybe that. Yeah.
The skull was too much for it. It just had to literally get it. Can you cut my skull open so my brain can expand, please?
Yeah, I wonder if like
glass case over it, it's absolutely fine.
Because you're a human, right? And you're, unless they do something with your physical makeup, you're probably going to have like the average brain span, say, of 100 years old. Does that then shift over time? So like as you gain new memories, you're 100 years ago, those memories start fading away. So you've only ever really got a 100-year segment of life that you remember as you move through 1,000 years.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I do. Yeah, again, maybe our physiology isn't set up to live for 1,000 years.
Well, we'll find out because we jabbed Ross unwillingly in his sleep last week with the 1,000-year drug, and he's going to chronicle everything.
Yesterday.
You better get learning. Don't waste this, Ross.
Don't waste it.
Start learning the violin.
You need to learn to write. Remember that one.
And keep your hard drives alive.
Keep those Ross is illiterate. Yeah. No, I filmed a lot of stuff. If anything, that's a great recall.
That's a good point.
Just filming shit all the time. We have a library of at least the shit we've filmed is of us doing silly things. Constantly.
That's true. Yeah.
So we have... what was I doing that year? Oh, that's what I was doing that year. I was driving Lamborghinis and screaming in GTA.
Yeah, we've chronicled the milestones of our life for the past 10 years. Not very many people get to think to do that willingly. It takes a lot of effort. If you're not being paid to do that.
Is it that Banksy documentary, which wasn't about Banksy, it was about what was his name now? Dr. Basically he was kind of imitating Banksy and kind of started recreating artworks in pop culture and stuff, and actually became quite successful. But he filmed literally everything. And so he was he had a library of these tapes under his bed, which he's just been filming every single thing he'd been getting up to. And that, crazy. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are like that. I mean, when you think about how easy it is to just pop out your phone now and film stuff, I'm sure there are a lot of people who do film all sorts of pointless shit all the time.
If I wasn't doing films, I'd never whip out my phone and film anything.
Oh yeah, same. I don't necessarily. I like taking photos of things, but I don't necessarily like taking photos of myself. So I don't. I don't do that. And like you say, I always was when I was much younger, in my late teens and early 20s. I was just why is everyone getting their phones out all the time? But it is nice to now look back and see those people taking those photos. Yeah,
I went through a phase of pulling stupid faces as well in teens. So anytime you look back, it's weird shit like that.
Well, this is the thing. I think this might be a bit of a boomer opinion, but I think there's going to be a lot of people that look back and all those face improving apps and effects and filters that people have used. They're just going to go, "What the fuck did I actually look like back then?"
Good point. It's very interesting. Yeah, because obviously filters are on everything. People just put them on because it's an easy. I can't bother to.
Even if you're not aware.
Here we go.
Some phones have them on by default.
Automatically. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's up. There was an article I was going to put in the funny news, but it wasn't really that funny. It was about the death rate of people taking selfies is going up.
Right.
So people, there's stories of people trying to take outrageous selfies on the top of buildings and climbing bridges and stuff, and it's now becoming a public health risk where people are being warned not to do that because more people are dying every year from just trying to take a selfie on top of a building or dangling off something. So
wow,
those guys won't be able to look back at those photos. But I know what you mean about these filters. The filter thing is, that's an interesting point. I've never really considered it. But I don't use a filter, mate. Don't need to. This thing's perfect.
As is.
Look
raw.
Look at what I'm working with. Look at this bad boy. They can't make a filter that looks like this good.
No, they can't. They shouldn't.
Stick to an analog camera.
But I used to film loads when I was younger, just because I was interested in cameras. Sorry?
Still got all that footage?
I think so. Yeah, I do. Well, it's all on mini DV tapes.
This is the thing.
Stuff.
Like, I recorded on so many different formats, and I rarely like put it onto the PC because there was very limited ways of doing that. From these like little digital hand cam things, you either have mini disc, which is like I didn't have anything to transfer that to anything like.
It blew my goddamn mind that mini DV could just be connected. Well, you put it in a camera, connected to a computer, and it transfers it. I was just like, what?
At the time, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. I can actually edit this stuff rather than
But it doesn't transfer it. You have to like then watch it all back again and then record it.
The camera like encodes it. I think. Yeah.
Sat there for hours and encoded it, and when you encoded it, you encoded it into like what was it, like
ProRes
540p or something?
Or
so
WMV.
low res anyway.
Yeah.
So it was small, tiny videos anyway. But yeah, I remember when I could actually afford to actually get a camera that could be transferred to PC. I was really excited, and I could actually edit that stuff, and it wanted to film more. And but now we film.
Do you remember those cassette tapes where you could push a mini DV into them?
Yeah,
and it would like play it
on
as
VCR.
Well.
Yeah,
those were so crazy.
I think my parents have shitloads of like high 8 tapes and stuff,
right?
Holidays, and they just never watched them back because there's no medium to like easily play that back unless you get them transferred. And doing that at home is just a slow process.
A lot of footage that's gonna like trigger a load of random memories that are like buried deep in your psyche. It's interesting, but again, like if you live 1,000 years, right, and you've got that memory of all those times, is that if you look at a memory from like 990 years ago, is that going to spark a neuron that's still in there somewhere? That's like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's connecting with all these other neurons, or is that all going to go? I don't know.
Have you ever smelt something or like walk past me and go, what's that smell? I kind of immediately think of something that like was like 15 years ago. You're like, fucking hell.
So the sense of smell apparently is like... I
never thought of that until that thing happened.
Apparently sense of smell is connected most strongly to memory of all the senses. So not even visual stimuli. Your sense of smell apparently is a really potent memory catalyst. Basically.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts when you have that moment. It's like, wow, Jesus Christ, I haven't thought of that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like a certain cocktail of smells. It's like that smells like my grandparents' living room, and I'm immediately there again. And I remember a memory of that moment of like pushing myself around in a cardboard box, pretending it's a car, with them there. It's like I was 5. How do I remember that from a smell? It's pretty crazy.
Eating raw potatoes and making mud pies.
Yeah, well,
a rural upgrade. When I was a baby, I drove a box car and ate mud pies, and I'm fine.
He's totally fine. I used to faceplant cow pats on the backfield behind me.
Me and my brother used to play who could put more dog muck in each other's eyes.
He always won.
And should we see if we can sneak a funny news in at the end here?
That was our hypotheticals.
So yeah, I think we all would like to live for 1,000 years, but we'd be have certain approaches and considerations to make. Would be the
Definitely, especially if you're the only one doing it, the only one capable of that, because it's such a long time to endure on some points.
If everyone was aware that I was a 1,000-year-old person, I'd seek out like the best therapists and counselors and like mental people to like guide me through. It's like, who's the best right now in the world? I'm going to them.
You'd end up like the freaking Pope or something, wouldn't you? As in, you would be like this.
To be fair,
figure who is this incredibly, not saying that the Pope is this, but like this sort of wise.
You would be treated like Jesus, I think. If you got to a point where you're still looking like 25 and you're like celebrating your 200th birthday, they're like, this motherfucker has lived for 200 years.
At which point you need heavy security, because there'd also be a sect of people that don't believe in you or you don't deserve to live and therefore want to kill you. So
a sacred reason for getting rid of the old 25-year-old.
They want the notoriety of being the person that kills the 1,000-year-old person.
There's this development of this like witch hunter sect.
Yeah,
and they've all got like stovepipe hats.
Okay, and they're all the fashion ready.
And they use flintlocks. They only use they use Victorian era weaponry to try and kill you.
Fucking hell,
back that era. They've got sharpened sticks. Yeah. But that story I was referencing earlier on, the headline was simply this: man eaten by piranhas after jumping into lake to escape bees.
Holy shit!
So I saw the headline, and obviously, like, yeah, a man has died. That's horrible.
That's literally out of the frying pan and into the fire, isn't it?
He was escaping bees, but landed in a lake filled with piranhas.
Holy crap!
Now, it just said this is in Brazil. I mean, a lot of these stories are from Brazil and South America and stuff. But it says the 30-year-old was fishing with friends when he jumped into a farm lake in the municipality of Bracilandia de Minas on Sunday, according to the local fire department. A firefighter who performed the rescue said the carnivorous fish has disfigured the man's face and other parts of his body. His body was found meters from the shore. It's not yet known if the attack came before or after the man's death. The man's friends also jumped into the water but swam to safety.
God damn.
So I guess he was just unlucky in that scenario. They don't know if he died.
Well, he drowned, I think, probably first, and then the fish died to eat him. Because piranhas, I don't think, are actually that dangerous to people if you're alive and not bleeding. Because it's only in large numbers when they start a frenzy that I think they really do the whole tearing apart. I actually had a taxidermied piranha in my bedroom as a child. Weird thing. I just had a really strange upbringing.
Where did you get that from? Like a gift shop?
I can't remember. I just remembered it then. Looking at that thing. It was on a stand, and it was and it had its teeth and everything, and it was a taxidermied piranha that was in my bedroom window. It was really cool. I wouldn't have more taxidermied animals.
Where did you get that from? Is my question. And how old were you?
I can remember it from very young, 4 or 5 years old, probably.
That's such a strange thing to give a 5-year-old.
Yeah, unless it's just like some of your maybe grandparents had or parents just.
Maybe
you can have the piranha. It's taxidermy. It's a real one.
It was real. It had really sharp little teeth. I used to show it to people.
That's cool.
I had a friend who had piranhas as, in an aquarium.
Really? That's pretty cool. That's quite cool.
I don't know if they were like, I don't know what type they were, but yeah, I wouldn't put my finger in.
No,
that's for sure.
Certainly not your dick.
I did do that though.
Oh,
and I was a child at the time.
So well, mine was just too big as a child. There's no way that the diameter of the piranha's mouth was going to fit.
Of course, yes. Child's penises.
My penis, technically. I mean, yes, I was a child at the time.
We actually got sent in a story from Snalty. You'll see it in these little Twitter things.
Okay, yeah.
Now, this is I'm not going to read the full story because I don't want to give the Times a load of money. I don't want to pay for the article, but it's interesting because it just says the campaign to make it illegal to photograph breastfeeding without consent has met an obstacle in the Lords after Lord Wolfson of Tredegar argued it could spoil family pornography. And I'll read the other.
Who is this person? Where is this happening?
A lord. Yeah, there is a video. If you click on the second link, Trott, I mean, I'm guessing we can play the video. It's just like a BBC thing. But it said Lord Wolfson of Tredegar explaining how easy it is to accidentally take a photograph of a woman on the beach who's breastfeeding. Let me try and find a quote of it then. Because he states here that he was worried that if someone was breastfeeding in the background, you got the video, nice.
Intending to use that image.
I imagine you can't hear this.
I can't hear it now.
Another woman, B, is on the same beach breastfeeding her baby and is caught by A in the picture unintentionally. I do respectfully suggest.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
But I do respectfully suggest that would be caught by the proposed amendment. A would have no defence, as first he intended the picture for sexual gratification. He's recorded the image for that purpose. Second, he would have no defence of consent by B. First of all, because B didn't consent, and A wouldn't also be able to have the second defence of reasonably believing that she was giving consent because he had no idea that she was in the picture at all.
It's such a strange, specific argument for not wanting to take photo or not making it illegal not to photograph women breastfeeding. He's saying that if a man wanted to take a photo of his wife naked, I don't know why that is even the scenario. Surely the scenario should be I'm taking a picture on the beach, but and then he says in the background someone is breastfeeding. That shouldn't be illegal because of accidents like that.
Well, Yeah, I guess like I don't know. As far as I could tell from that video, I didn't really get all of it. I'm not going to lie.
Well,
It could
yeah,
just be that he's just like rationalizing it as a justice minister. He's just like rationalizing out a situation that may be created. But it is strange, certainly.
Strange use of the word family pornography.
I mean, isn't there just like decency laws we could use?
I think there are basic decency laws, but I think there was an argument because I think somebody was photographed by a teenager when they were breastfeeding secretly, like underneath like a coat, so it wasn't obvious and visible. Because, like you say, some people get offended by it, and they're trying to pass a law saying it's illegal to photograph someone breastfeeding in a public way, which is kind of that would be kind of strange if somebody whacks out a phone and starts filming you doing what is a natural thing.
But well, yeah, I mean, there's so much more to this, isn't there? Like,
there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, like about like breastfeeding, obviously, like you say, is perfectly normal, perfectly fine for people to do in public, in my opinion.
But if you're filming porn,
but there's also this element of sexuality and sexualization that, like, like I feel like us, or what I imagine is people, struggle to sometimes separate sexuality, like being attracted to boobs and then somebody using a boob as a method of feeding a child, that can be hard for people to pass. I think one day we will get past that culturally and socially to be like, yes, boobs can be fun, yes, boobs also can feed children,
serve a purpose.
Yeah, but like until then, we need to create laws, or we need to create an ability to stop people who don't understand that line and won't probably, this is sort of more of a future society problem, to stop them from invading people's privacy. But yeah, it's just brings on these weird quandaries, doesn't it?
It's a very strange quandary.
Yeah,
in the middle of the House of Parliament.
Yeah.
So I was just taking a photo of my wife, and she was topless, but behind there was breastfeeding, and that really ruined my home
family porn.
Yeah.
God damn it!
Very strange story.
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, well.
So there's one more thing here which is relevant to today specifically, because it is the 5th of November.
Oh, never forget.
I suppose you're all familiar with the Guy Fawkes stories, etc.
Yeah.
This isn't really
stories.
a story.
Just the one, isn't it?
Well, sure. But there's some facts about Guy Fawkes that I just found here. I thought it might be topical.
Oh, wow. Go for it.
So Guy Fawkes was not hanged, drawn, and quartered, apparently.
That's a shame.
I don't know too much about the history.
They burn him?
Guy Fawkes. Well, he actually, it says here, let's see, let me just skim this bit. So as he awaited the grisly punishment on the gallows, Fawkes leapt to his death to avoid the horrors of having his testicles cut off, his stomach opened, and his guts spilled out before his eyes. He died from a broken neck. So, I mean, I think he took the better way out, really. I mean, you don't really want to watch your balls being cut off, right?
No, or your guts spilling out. No.
On a side note, do you think what Guy Fawkes if Guy Fawkes was here today and experienced politics as today, would you think that would be a negative thing of what he was doing, or would you be on board with the Guy Fawkes situation? You think?
You're trying to say that I would like to blow up Parliament?
I'm trying to bait you. Yeah, I'm baiting you. I feel like
I think
that would be like, oh fuck, I'm on board with Guy Fawkes. But it's strange.
There's people in Parliament that are generally trying to help society, and there are people who are not. I think there are quite a lot of both. So no, I don't think it's a very good solution. No, but I do think that there are people within Parliament that break the law, and I don't know or can see methodology that we currently have, what kind of power we have as citizens to stop them from doing that. I don't see it, but of course, blowing up Parliament is not the solution.
Kind of weird that we celebrate that.
I think it is kind of strange that it's managed to have such an impact, and everyone's remembering the 5th of November, specifically.
Yeah, it's very strange that we celebrate a terrorist, essentially.
Yeah. But will people make like figures of him and then burn him?
Yeah.
So, is there anyone today you would make a model of and burn them?
Oh, I mean, that happens, doesn't it? Like effigy burning. Effigy burning is, there's loads of, it doesn't do anything though. You just look like a mob.
A bunch of old clothes and straw.
it might be cathartic. I mean, God, don't get me wrong. I feel passionate dislike of many people, but I don't really feel like burning a picture of them does anything.
What if someone made an Alex Smith effigy and just
I'd be like, fucking hell, am I in danger? If not, good effort.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to hate
you. Realistic. It looked just like you.
Just like they've
got like, oh shit, I was never there.
Weta Workshops created like a real life body of mine. I'm found dead in a car crash that somebody set up.
Yeah.
And they've told my parents and everything, and they're like, yeah, it's just an effigy.
Hey, got you. Yeah. You're not on fire or dead.
And then my parents seriously doubt whether it's actually me when I come to see them. They're like, no, my son died. We saw the body.
We fucking mourned you bastard. Go home.
This is a complicated prank.
Really is. Anyway, number 2 here is Guy Fawkes was not the gunpowder plot's ringleader, which I'm not sure if that was. I feel like that was public knowledge, but maybe not. There were a total of 13 conspirators in the plot, which was masterminded by Robert Catesby. They were a charismatic Catholic figure who had a reputation for speaking out against the English crown.
There's quite a good show. It's very gruesome. About Guy Fawkes that has Kit Harington in it.
Yeah,
it
is very gruesome. With the weights,
it's pretty good
torture. Holy shit.
Yeah,
that was gruesome.
But like, it goes into this quite a lot. Like Robert Catesby and like, essentially, it was probably a disgruntled person with money funding an insurgent rebellions. The oldest trick in the book, right?
Different time. Different time.
There are a bunch of other people involved in that.
There you go.
Fawkes gained notoriety after the plot was foiled, as he had the perilous duty of sneaking into the cellar beneath the House of Lords and igniting the explosives.
Christ, has that gone wrong?
Indeed.
I mean,
Get through a couple of these. Some of these are a bit meh. Guy Fawkes has an island named after him. He's one of Britain's most infamous villains, whose effigy has been burned in
the Falklands,
whose demise has been publicly celebrated for more than 4 centuries. It may come as a surprise that there is an island named after him. To the northwest of Santa Cruz Island in the Galapagos Islands, a collection of 2 uninhabited crescent-shaped islands named Isla Guy Fawkes or Guy Fawkes Island.
Oh, there you go.
That's another tidbit.
Cool.
Apparently, they also do a traditional search of the House of Parliament for explosives. Although I think that's it's a traditional thing, so it's not actually a real terrorist.
Yeah, no, I'm just doing a traditional search. There's no idea in here. Yeah, another one. Yeah, get the dog in. The dog comes and diffuses it.
I love this ritual. It's good tradition.
So we've trained a spaniel to defuse bombs now. Jesus Christ.
Wow, they're really, really smart dogs.
These are smart.
You can do so much with those paws.
Yeah. The cellar that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up no longer exists. It was destroyed in a fire in 1834 that devastated the medieval Houses of Parliament. So in the end, it kind of did get destroyed. And there's also an issue with the gunpowder, as it apparently would have done little damage to the Parliament because the 36 barrels of gunpowder were decayed. So it wouldn't have exploded properly. So it might cause some fires, but wouldn't have been the explosive event that probably happens every year.
Not like V for Vendetta.
No, not like that at all.
It always surprises me just before we finish here. It's very good roster. Obviously, it's November 5th today, which is making this really topical. Which I'm guessing is why you looked into it. But it always surprises me how big a bang you can make with just more gunpowder. Like you would have thought, goes bang, doesn't it? But like pile that stuff up and fucking hell, we all saw, was it Lebanon where they had the ammonium nitrate piled up,
stored underneath.
Jesus Christ, it's terrifying, isn't it? How it can happen?
Really, oh my God!
So be careful on fireworks night, everybody. It's a word of warning. Guy Fawkes got caught, and that's what we're celebrating. Apparently, I've been corrected.
Is that the only reason?
We celebrate the standing of the Parliament, and then we caught the bugger.
It's kind of thinking about that now. But okay.
Well, I guess it was probably pitched as like Parliament is a method of our democracy, right? A machine. What am I trying to find? But it's a way that our democracy functions. So in a way, it's a good thing. However, people within that sort of system aren't perhaps interested in democracy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at the time there were plenty of people that weren't interested in democracy either, especially since the MPs were probably much more privileged even than they are now, because to get to that position within society back then was even more challenging because most people didn't have a good education. So I imagine he was dealing with the right bunch of toffs.
The gunpowder.
Fireworks this weekend, you're going to just maybe just handhold the fireworks and just fire them in the streets.
Roman candle duel, classic.
Because there's always some crazy story of people just firing fireworks in the street, or a firework factory explosion.
Just get carried away.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Those ones are huge when that goes off, man. So, yeah. Enjoy
it's a weapon.
Watch your dogs and cats, I'm sure.
Just be considerate of your neighbours.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes this sudden bang of fireworks right next to them.
Do you think that the increase in dog ownership through pandemic will create a smaller amount of fireworks? Yeah, exactly.
There's
probably a
data point,
a slight impact.
Correlation.
I imagine there's the traditional shows that happen.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, also, like a lot of the people that bought dogs during the pandemic are now abandoning them, so there is also that as well.
On a positive.
Humanity, people, Britain.
Well, hold on strong, everybody, because you could support us by standing together and loading up our coffers with your gunpowder in a form of currency. Oh God, I'm really struggling to just support us on Patreon, damn it, and we can keep doing this podcast. Thank you. Yes, and you can also get the ad-free version by doing so that Ross posts up there. So thank you for that.
Also, like if anyone listening to this wants to give a review on our podcast, I was looking at the charts yesterday, and we're nowhere near anywhere really. But I realized there's only like 5 reviews. So if you like this podcast, just a little review or a rating or something. That'd be nice.
If you can't monetarily support us, maybe that's an option. That would be much appreciated. Yeah, that'd be great. So
never checked before.
Also send an email to us if you've got like an interesting article, like Snolty. Was it Snolty that sent that one in?
Yeah, it was Snolty who sent that one in just before the stream as well.
And also Fingles, please send, like Zafir did, to hatchat@hat-films.com. That's how you send in music. Thank you. Same email. There it is again.
If we don't get any more, we're going to have to play the original one again. It's been too long. It's been so long since we played that.
I'll play the bloody original, or I'll play some of my favorites throughout the episodes as well.
Revisiting our favorite Fingles out of 2021.
Yeah,
Fingles in memoriam.
Nice. Well, leave a review. You can be as honest as you like. We appreciate positive ones, of course. Don't be like an Amazon customer. Thank you. All right, I'll see you all next week for more. Have a bloody good day.
Bye everybody.
Bye.